Healthcare workers weigh in on a plan to improve patient care, how they feel about a better team approach to solving long waits. The U of S marks a dramatic anniversary. And female flair, the women leading the way in the community of Waka.
This is CTV News with Chantel Saunders.
Good evening. We begin tonight with healthcare workers weighing in on the province's plan to tackle wait times and improve access to healthcare across Saskatchewan. Keenan Sorokon on what it could mean for care providers moving forward.
Healthcare workers across a number of different sectors are waiting to see how the patient-first healthcare plan will change their jobs.
It's kind of something that we've been advocating for, asking for, and we're really excited to see that our province is listening.
The patient-first healthcare plan is aiming to give everyone access to the care they need. And a big part of that plan is opening up the scope for some to do more work in more places. Nurse practitioners will be seen in emergency rooms and urgent care centers as the cornerstone of getting more people seen more frequently.
Basically anything that you would be going to see, your GP for, a nurse practitioner is able to do. We need more healthcare professionals. We need more physicians to kind of accomplish this plan.
The province has made 100 training spots available for nurse practitioners, a number that has almost doubled in 4 years. Another person you might see a little more of is a pharmacist.
We're really happy that they're looking at expanding our scope of work that we do, we're trained to do, but allowed to do, because I think the impact is quite significant.
Pharmacists will be able to prescribe and assist with minor ailments like strep throat and ear infections to take more people out of waiting rooms during cold and flu season.
Which actually allows the testing to be done at the site in the pharmacy, and you can find out whether you have strep throat in like 7 minutes, as opposed to going to the lab. And
the province doesn't plan on stopping there.
We're looking to expand scope with dietitians, optometrists, potentially chiropractors, nurses. So we're going to have conversations with all of those regulatory bodies.
But not everyone appreciates the extra work. Olivia Bolton is a continuing care assistant and can't see how these plans prevent burnout or retain workers.
Yesterday alone, we had 9 people on overtime that were working double shifts because they didn't want to see the patients go without.
Jobs across healthcare are in for some changes, but specifics on how this will be accomplished and how much it will cost will have to wait until the province releases its budget next week. Keenan Sorokon, CTV News, Saskatoon.
A house fire in the RM of Corman Park, where one person was found dead, is under investigation. RCMP say they were called to a fire at a rural property at about 4:45 yesterday afternoon. Local fire departments also responded to fight the fire. RCMP say one person was found dead at the scene. They say the person has been tentatively identified and their family has been notified. The Saskatchewan Coroner Service will confirm the person's identity. Fire investigators with the Saskatchewan Public Safety Agency are working to determine the cause and origin of the fire. RCMP say they are no longer investigating. An inmate who escaped custody near Duck Lake just over a year ago is back behind bars. Albert McKay escaped from the Willow Cree Healing Lodge on the Beardies and Okamosas First Nation on March 1st of 2025. He was serving a sentence of just over 3 years, 2 months for break and enter and assaults at the minimum security federal institution. McKay was arrested by RCMP in Portage la Prairie, Manitoba yesterday afternoon. The Correctional Service of Canada and the Willow Cree Healing Lodge are investigating the circumstances around his escape. Residents in several east side neighborhoods may notice a drop in water pressure over the next couple of months as the city works on upgrades to infrastructure. The city says it will start work on the Acadia Drive primary water main on March 23rd, which could take up to 8 weeks to complete. As a result, people might notice their water pressure drop by about 40% in Brevard Park, College Park, Wildwood, Lakeview, Rosewood, Lakewood Suburban Center, Lakewood, Briarwood, Greystone Heights, Eastview, and College Park East. The water will still be safe to drink and outages are not expected. Mother Nature delivering another blast of snow in the Saskatoon area. About 4 centimeters fell last night, just enough to make for some slick conditions, covering the icy roads and sidewalks. Travel was not recommended along Highway 11 from Osler up to McDowell yesterday, as well as the Hepburn and Blaine Lake areas. That was lifted, but roads in the city and on highways throughout the province have been reporting snow-covered conditions. Drivers are always encouraged to check with the highway hotline before traveling. And yes, today the road's not that great and the sidewalks not much better.
Not much. At least yesterday you could sort of see where the sheer ice was on roadways or sidewalks, and today it was kind of covered up, so it was like whoa, a little bit of a wobbly situation if you're out walking around. Speaking of snowfall amounts, we didn't get it as much in Saskatoon's other parts of the province. Ken Murphy out in Carrabba let me know that they received about 3 inches, so about 7.5 centimeters in that area, but also added that they really need the moisture. So that's something to keep in mind as we do some shoveling. Not a lot to talk about. Fairly quiet conditions as we make our way into the next 24 hours. And temperatures are going to warm up a little bit. Not a lot, but a little bit. And we'll tell you how much little bit later on.
The future of inland fishing in northern Saskatchewan is in the spotlight. Some Saskatchewan cooperative fishers gathered to talk about what's expected to be some significant changes in the next few years. Jasmine Pelche reports.
The federally owned Freshwater Fish Marketing Corporation, established by the government to market freshwater fish from inland Canada, is heading toward privatization. First Nations and Métis partners from Saskatchewan and Manitoba have placed a bid for the company.
I represent 12 communities as well as the whitefish fleet. And we produce a lot of fish off that lake. And today I'm here with to meet with the commercial fishers and the leaders from Saskatchewan in relation to the work we're doing.
Saskatchewan Cooperative Fishers says the industry is vital to culture and economy in the north, and the fishermen should have a voice when it comes to the market.
We care because that's our livelihood. That's how we were raised. So that's the whole thing that's happening here. They're going to be, there's a technical committee that's going to be explaining what we've done so far, where things are at, so that the fishermen hear, and we'll get input from them as well. But that's our goal, is to make an efficient, productive company again.
While it's not yet a done deal, community leaders are hopeful that continued efforts will pay off.
New ideas that are coming out, rough fish for example, cat food, dog food, all these different things that can be available, because right now when I used to fish, and still some of the fishermen that are out there, there's a lot of fish being set aside and not taken into consideration as far as marketing.
Fisheries and Oceans Canada provided CTV News with a statement saying while a preferred bidder has been identified, discussions toward a potential final agreement remain ongoing and no outcomes can be confirmed at this stage. Jasmine Pelche, CTV News, Prince Albert.
Saskatchewan producers have a new option for addressing ongoing issues with elk herds. The province will issue 8 depredation permits that will allow special targeted elk hunting on land where high numbers of elk are known to be impacting food stores for livestock. The permits come at no cost to producers and can be used between mid-January and March of next year. They're valid for either the affected producer or a single designated hunter and are not an open hunting opportunity. The results of the first year will be used in future planning.
We know those numbers are high. We've heard from our colleagues, we've heard from municipal leaders that, there's herds of 300 and 400 out there. And, we know of cattle ranchers that are rolling out bales and the elk are there. It's almost 1-to-1. And so obviously it's a challenge. So we know where those areas are. We'll work with our crop insurance folks and the producers will make their application and we'll put the tags out through our regional offices.
The Saskatchewan Wildlife Federation says the approach is a stopgap solution that doesn't address the root causes of the issue. It cautions the province in how the tags are awarded to prevent privatization of wildlife resources and to encourage other prevention methods along with better access for all hunters. A war of words at the legislature today about non-Canadian residents owning farmland in Saskatchewan. The NDP wants the government to act, but the government feels the penalties which do exist have already proven to be a good enough deterrent. Donovan Mace has more.
The prospect of foreign entities owning land in Saskatchewan has the NDP opposition wishing the government would crack down harder.
Go back and investigate and review transactions of concern and ensure compliance. And they failed to make sure the Farmland Security Board has the resources and the teeth they need.
The Saskatchewan Farmland Security Board oversees transactions ensuring owners are Canadian residents. Last year, 8 complaints of possible foreign land ownership in Saskatchewan were investigated by the board, with 3 issued penalties and 4 ordered to reduce operations. But the opposition believes there could be more, not yet reported.
The scope and scale of how much land is owned in breach of our law or illegally by foreign owners is not clear.
The NDP would like to see significantly higher fines of up to $1 million for individuals and $10 million for corporations breaking the law. That's in line with 10 recommendations the provincial auditor made 2 years ago, but the Minister of Agriculture says the Farmland Security Board has already put them all into action.
Farmland Security Board has all the tools that they need, including the declaration and the signing that you have to sign off on. And so I'm comfortable in that.
Saskatchewan rural municipalities feel current backstops are adequate.
There's always a loophole for some people to get through, but I think the auditor has done a good job of trying to police that and prevent it. And I don't think, personally, I don't have a concern with it.
We're open to changes if they feel it's going to improve the plan. I think the declaration and the recommendations and the changes we made that the provincial auditor had asked for, we implemented as quickly as we could, and we landed in a good spot.
The NDP presenting a private member's bill to amend the Farmland Security Board's enforcement powers, a motion Merritt says is unlikely to receive the support of the government in order to pass. Donovan May, CTV News, Regina.
A special milestone is being marked on campus as the drama department marks its 80th anniversary. It's also celebrating the work it has accomplished as the oldest degree granting program of its kind, not only in Canada, but beyond. Carla Shinkaruk has that story.
The drama program at the U of S is celebrating 80 years. It's the first degree granting theatre program in Canada and the entire British Commonwealth.
We were the first to sort of legitimize what it means to study theatre and performance and dramatic arts.
The program started in 1946. One of the first spaces used by students was actually an airplane hangar on campus.
Across Canada, there's lots of different theatre programs, but to think about that here in the prairies, we were the very first. That's huge.
That first production at Greystone Theatre opened in March of that year, featuring Frances Hyland, often called the First Lady of Canadian Theatre. The program has also produced well-known alumni like Kim Coates from the TV show Sons of Anarchy and Eric Peterson from Corner Gas. Many others have gone on to work in the industry.
The university is very, very important and integral and well connected to Shakespeare on the Saskatchewan, to Persephone Theatre, to 25th.
Brandon, now head of Shakespeare on the Saskatchewan, is also an alumnus of the program. He says anywhere from 2 to 20 students graduate here a year. The small class sizes help build connections that last well beyond graduation.
As a director, I've cast former students, but now they're my colleagues.
So to honor that big milestone, the next round of performances will showcase some of the talent that has gone through these doors.
And they put out a call for brand new plays, one-act plays by alumni. 5 former students have written original plays.
So as they mark 8 decades of theatre, they're also shedding light on accomplishments of those past and present who have been part of the program.
One wouldn't think that arts and culture would have started here 80 years ago.
And with a new generation of actors, writers, and directors coming through the program, the next act for drama at the University of Saskatchewan is already underway. Carla Shinkaruk, CTV News, Saskatoon.
A Saskatchewan Lake community northeast of Saskatoon is seeing big entrepreneurial spirit. And as CTV's Laura Woodward reports, women are the ones powering the local business scene.
Treatment room, and in here we do our facials.
When Rhonda Cochet opened her salon 24 years ago, much of Waka's main street sat empty.
There wasn't a lot. We have been growing, and these girls are coming in and taken hold and running with it, and it's flourishing.
Female entrepreneurs are shaping Waka's business scene, bolstering the lake town, preparing for the summer rush.
I feel like it's 80% of female-run businesses. It's definitely majority.
When Kimberly Cooper, owner of Four Wheel Fitness, moved to Waka, she quickly noticed the vibrance of the local businesses.
And it's all these really awesome females that start their own businesses. So I just noticed that and admired them and recognized that this little community of Waka has a really great thing going on.
From Saunders Salon, Espresso Cafe, and Cornerstone Care Home, women are stepping up to fill gaps in the community.
I started nursing in long-term care. We realized in our community of Waka we were lacking a home for level 1 and 2.
So Jessica Cole and her husband built this care home.
We've been full since 3 months of opening in 2020 and currently have quite a wait list.
4 years ago, Taylor Hubert also took a leap of faith, buying the town's gift shop. The store has since evolved to sell everything from clothes and games to candles she makes herself.
You guys, I made one now called The Perfect Man.
Oh my God, can I have a case?
Yeah. Rising tides float all boats, right? So the busier I am, the busier the cafe is, the busier the salons are, the busier the care homes are, the busier everything is. And I think it's just a really beautiful snowball effect. And we all lift each other and we all know our roles and we're like, let's do things for the town and the community and in ways that make a difference.
Laura Woodward, CTV News, Waka.
As Saskatoon's new look professional basketball team continues to take shape ahead of the CEBL regular season, the first coach of the Saskatoon Mamba shared his excitement to get things going in May. After developing players in the NBA's feeder system, Isaiah Fox is looking forward to the unique features of the CEBL.
A lot of the players in this league basically come from the G League and other leagues overseas that are very similar in the style of play. But what the CEBL offers is this execution, particularly at the end of games, how they execute the target ending. I think it's going to be a challenge, and it's going to be fun to see how we can layer up our execution and get guys in our right spots. In terms of how we finish games. It's also a good challenge in terms of just development purely. It seems to be a sprint.
The Saskatoon Mamba begin play May 14th at SaskTel Centre against the Vancouver Bandits. Still to come, the latest war of words and how they are translating to the conflict in the Middle East. Also, how the unrest is impacting planning for Canadian producers. You're watching CTV News live from downtown Saskatoon. Thanks for staying with us tonight. To Washington now, where there are conflicting messages about when the war in Iran will end. President Donald Trump warned Iran not to interfere with international oil shipments, now saying he expects the fighting to end, quote, very soon. With more, here is Joy Malvin in Washington.
The Pentagon with new video bombing Iran's missile launchers and destroying their ammunition stockpiles. A fresh round of attacks. The U.S. says it has hit more than 5,000 targets, including 50 vessels.
Today will be, yet again, our most intense day of strikes inside Iran. The most fighters, the most bombers. On the other hand, the last 24 hours have seen Iran fire the lowest number of missiles.
Secretary of War Pete Hegseth says Iran is badly losing and there will be no let-up. This as the Trump administration is sending mixed messages when the conflict will end. The president suggested the war's goals were pretty much complete, telling Republicans,
I think you'll see it's going to be a short-term excursion. How good is our military, right?
Trading threats on social media, Trump told Fox News he's not happy with Iran's new supreme leader, a hardline cleric and son of the assassinated Ayatollah Khamenei, saying, I don't believe he can live in peace. Iran's security chief shot back, warning the U.S. president, be careful not to get eliminated yourself. This after Trump threatened to rain fire and fury on Iran, warning the regime against stopping the world's flow of oil through the Strait of Hormuz, now at a standstill and sending gas prices soaring. But the White House insists that won't last long.
U.S. military is drawing up additional options following the president's directive to continue keeping the Strait of Hormuz open. I will not broadcast what those options look like, but just know the president is not afraid to use them.
So when will it all end? The White House and Secretary of War both say that's up to President Trump to determine when Iran is no longer a direct threat to America. Joy Melvin, CTV News, Washington.
The Prime Minister wasn't expected to be in question period today, but his schedule changed this morning after being criticized for not participating in last night's debate on Iran. And it gave opposition leaders a chance to grill him over Canada's seemingly shifting position in the conflict. CTV's Michael Couture has more on what was said during question period.
His appearance at question period was a last-minute addition to his schedule, and after a week of shifting narratives around the war in the Middle East, the Prime Minister looked to clarify Canada's stance. Mark Carney said Canada opposes Iran's development of nuclear weapons and the regime's exporting of terrorism. The Prime Minister also said Canada will not participate in the American military offensive in the region. But the leader of the Bloc Québécois wants to know if Carney also asked allies if they're all on the same page.
As long as we act on our separate paths, we don't have the leverage to force United States into themselves a more coherent position because we don't know what the President of the United States wants.
Je viens d'avoir une conversation avec le président du G7, M. Macron.
Carney said he had conversations with leaders from France, Japan, and the U.S., but wouldn't give any more details. The Conservatives have criticized Carney's stance on Iran, saying it's been shifting over the past week. While Poilievre says he stood by the Prime Minister's original support for the strikes on Iran to take down the regime, he's unequivocal about the Supreme Leader's successor.
You're talking with the son?
The son, yeah.
No, this is a terrorist. We stand with the Iranian people for democracy. We stand against the Iranian theocratic dictatorship that has attacked our country.
Prime Minister Carney says he plans to speak with other G7 leaders this week, and he says they're all united in calling for a de-escalation in the Middle East. Michael Couture, CTV News, Ottawa.
The rising cost of fuel is on the minds of Saskatchewan producers as the conflict in Iran remains unsolved.
We've seen the price of gasoline at the pumps rise 20 to 30 cents a liter already in the last couple of weeks, and it certainly is a concern. And fuel prices on our farms today is huge because our big farm equipment requires a lot of fuel to power it, and so it's certainly concerning and also affecting the exports and movement of our commodities too.
The price of diesel has also risen sharply, approaching the $1.90 a litre mark in Regina and around $1.76 in Saskatoon. It's not just soaring oil prices that are having an impact, but fertilizer is seeing prices skyrocket, which could have a significant impact on Canadian farmers. Alex Carpa has more on what this means for the agriculture industry.
This is our nitrogen fertilizer.
Fertilizer is an essential part of Kevin Peters' farm in southwestern Manitoba.
This bin will hold about 100 tons of nitrogen fertilizer.
Both his crops and livestock rely on it heavily. But since Israel and the U.S.'s attacks on Iran, the average price of nitrogen fertilizer has skyrocketed around 30% in the last week.
There's always some disruptions seeming to happen somewhere in the world that's changing our daily prices.
Roughly a third of the world's fertilizer shipments move through the Strait of Hormuz off southern Iran. With the vital shipping route effectively closed, economists say global prices are rising.
Fertilizer very important to our growers here, and especially at the time of year right when we're gearing up for planting season.
Anderson says the world's fertilizer supply was already under pressure before this war started.
This adds another layer of increased cost to their bottom line.
This price increase is yet another blow for farmers who have seen their input costs increase dramatically over the last few years. Jill Verwey with Manitoba's Keystone Agriculture Producers is desperate for the war to end soon.
If this drags out further, then it's going to have bigger impacts on availabilities, capacity for farmers to get that fertilizer on this spring.
Watching a deteriorating crisis for Peters has made staying optimistic difficult.
We're just cautious about overextending ourselves, and we want to be here producing food and producing livestock, for the markets.
Experts warn the high cost of fertilizer and other goods are likely here to stay, even if the war in Iran were to end in a few weeks. Alex Carpa, CTV News, near Steinbach, Manitoba.
The family of a 12-year-old girl who was hospitalized after the mass shooting in Tumbler Ridge has filed a civil claim against artificial intelligence company OpenAI. Maya Gelbala is recovering in hospital after being shot multiple times in the mass shooting that left 8 dead plus the shooter. Her family has filed a civil lawsuit against OpenAI, the company behind ChatGPT. They say the artificial intelligence tool helped the shooter plan the attack. The filing also says the bot fostered a dependency, assuming the role of counselor or therapist. OpenAI responded with a statement today saying that what happened in Tumbler Ridge was an unspeakable tragedy, adding that OpenAI is committed to working to make meaningful changes to prevent tragedies like this in the future. A notorious Canadian serial killer is dead. Corrections Canada says 78-year-old Alan Lazier, known as the Monster of Miramichi, died in an Edmonton prison. In 1986, Lazier was put behind bars after taking part in a violent home invasion where one of the victims died. But he escaped custody from Moncton Hospital in 1989. In his 6 months on the loose, he sexually assaulted and killed 3 women, beat a Catholic priest to death, and took 3 people hostage. Once rearrested, he was convicted of 4 counts of murder and sentenced to life in prison. No cause of Lazier's death has been released. An internal review into the circumstances of his death is planned. All right, Jeff, as we were talking about earlier, an interesting day on the roads, but I feel like the melt is coming tomorrow.
The melt is coming tomorrow, but only tomorrow, Chantel. It's only around tomorrow because then we get into some more cold air. So, yes, the warm air is going to be there. We'll see some melting and maybe an opportunity for people to deal with some of the maybe the ice that has shown up in front of their buildings or on their sidewalks. Some of them are awfully tricky. Let's take a look and see what we've got going on. In terms of our numbers, minus 11 degrees right now in Saskatoon, minus 8 in Prince Albert and the Battlefords. And as you can see, not particularly windy in the Gateway City, a little breezier in Saskatoon, and certainly a bit more in the way of wind in the Battlefords, a moderate wind at 20 kilometers an hour. Saskatoon's almanac, well, our temperature, well, the 24-hour high, minus 4. That was at midnight. Mid-afternoon, we were around minus 10 degrees. Minus 3 is typical for this time of year for Saskatoon. 8 is the record warm temperature from 2012, the record cold temperature. Once again from 1948. This time minus 37 degrees. The sun came up at 7:33 and it's going to go down at 7:02.
Coming up, when ice meets art, we meet the man behind some cool creations in Alberta.
Being described as a bold new healthcare strategy. Wednesday on Your Morning, we are in conversation with the health minister on Saskatchewan's new path forward.
All right, let's take a look through the live lens of Skycam. Some clouds out there. We'll say this is partly clouded and mainly cloudy skies, but things look relatively pleasant right now. Certainly a different situation last night. The snow showed up, and yes, other parts of the province got more snow than we did. But speaking of snow, there's a large area, cold and unstable air mass off the BC coast. We do anticipate rain and snow. Snow for some parts of the province that don't often get it. A little less so. Let's say less than 5 centimeters in and around Vancouver and Victoria, but more more than 5 as you make your way north and certainly into some of the ski resorts that would like to have some more snow. Kind of quiet conditions for now. A big low coming off the west coast is going to make its way through southern parts of the prairies, and that's going to help to warm things up. Let's take a look and see what we've got going on right now. Just to recap, -11 in Saskatoon, -8 in Prince Albert and the Battlefords. The hot spot in Saskatchewan, well, that was 4 degrees in Val-Marie, Key Lake. The cold spot at -40. Around the province we go. Larger communities starting off there, as we always do. Lloydminster at -6, 0 in Swift Current, -2 in Moose Jaw, close to that in Regina, -10 in York, and about 1 on the plus side. That's in Estevan. Into central parts of the province, a fairly big temperature range here from -2 in Kindersley down to -14 in Nipawin. It's -9 in Meadow Lake, -12 in Wynyard, -6 in Hudson Bay. Up north, no one's at -20, but close. Key Lake at -18, -19 in Stony Rapids and Collins Bay, but it does get as warm as -11, -12 rather, in Sandy Bay, Island Falls, -13 in La Ronge. And down south, for a large portion of southwestern and south central Saskatchewan, temperatures are in and around the 0 degree mark or thereabouts. A little cooler as we make our way northward, -8 in Last Mountain Regional Park, -10 in Melville, -6 in Indian Head, -4 in Broadview. On to our futurecast. As I mentioned, a fairly quiet pattern here, and we can take a look at those pressure lines, not that close together, so we're not anticipating a windy Wednesday. It looks like it's going to be fairly quiet in that regard. Just a reminder, there are still extreme cold warnings in effect for the far north. Yes, there is still some cold Arctic air out there, but it will recede a little bit as we move into tomorrow. Tomorrow we've got ourselves -5 degrees in La Ronge, -13 with some snow in Stony Rapids, possibility of flurries in Key Lake as well. Buffalo Narrows -5 and cloudy. 4 degrees on the plus side for Kindersley and Rosetown, just below the freezing mark for Meadow Lake and Spiritwood on Wednesday. Temperatures hovering around that 5 degree mark under mainly cloudy skies in the southwest. Did I say -5? I meant 5. Then we've got -6 in Yorkton, 2 in Regina, 5 in Moose Jaw, 3 in Estevan, and in east central Saskatchewan, -5 the expected high in Melfort, 0 in Wantress, -2 in Humboldt, and -3 in Hudson Bay. Dropping down to -10 with a chance of flurries and risk of freezing rain and maybe some fog patches in the Battlefords. 1 degree tomorrow, so then they have that 1+ day, and then things drop off to below seasonal values and stay there until next Tuesday, when we expect to hit 0 degrees. For Prince Albert area, -21 overnight, kind of crisp. -4 for a high on Wednesday. Thursday, -6. -11 on Friday, close to that on Saturday. Sunday, also -11. -9 to start the work week, and a chance of flurries, and -5 on Tuesday. And Saskatoon, 30% chance of some flurries tonight, a risk of freezing drizzle. Some fog patches expected to show up. 1 on the plus side for tomorrow, as I mentioned, a little bit of a melt there. And then we've got ourselves -7 on Thursday with a chance of flurries, -6 on Friday. A chilly Saturday, -11 for a high. -8 on Sunday, -6 to start the work week. And 1 week from today, -1 and a 40% chance of flurries.
Conan the Barbarian.
Arnold Schwarzenegger is gearing up to return to the role that launched his action movie career more than 40 years ago. Arnold revealed at a sports expo that the new Conan the Barbarian movie is officially in the works. No word yet on a release date, but Arnold hinted that the writer-director Christopher McQuarrie, known for his work on the Mission Impossible movies, has been tapped to bring Conan, or rather King Conan, to life.
Welcome to Project Runway Canada, designers. This is real.
Crave is bringing back Project Runway Canada for season 2. Coco Rocha, Jeannie Becker, and Spencer Badu will return as judges. Aurora James will once again serve as mentor. Designers looking for the big break, this is your chance. Casting is open. Applications can go to Project Runway Canada, casting.ca.
Life's a little different as a pro bowler.
I travel with a fridge because I can't eat casino food for a month.
An upcoming documentary series is giving us a look inside the world of professional bowling. Born to Bowl follows 5 stars of the sport as they chase glory and prize money in the Professional Bowlers Association. The first of 5 episodes premiere March 16th on Crave. Hello, Big Ern McCracken.
All right, Jeff, time for Pick of the Day. What did you pick?
Should I said Pete Weber? Okay. Anyhow, we have 4 pictures today, but 2 are related. Ooh. Let's take a look at this one. This one comes to us from Jeanette, looking out our window in Warman this morning and noticed that a few rabbits must have partied on our front yard. Wouldn't that have been a wonderful sight to have seen in the moonlight? Yes, indeed. And yes, it looks like they had a pretty good party. So some happy rabbits out there. Next one comes to us from Al. Al sends us this picture, and it's entitled Sunrise at Turtle Lake. Very nice shot there. Thank you, Al. And finally, Colleen Miller sent us a couple. I'm an artist, but painting in the snow is definitely different than canvas. This was done on Saturday the 7th. The snowman is tipping his hat, winking and saying, until next year. And the snow was melting as I was painting. And there's another one she sent us, and this is what it's called, We're Melting. So thank you, Colleen, those lovely sets of artwork there. And if you'd like to share an image with us, you can do so by sending it to cfqcnews@ctv.ca or scan the QR code. And please put pick of the day in the subject line. It helps us sort through all of our email.
Still to come on CTV News, a closer look at some cool creations, the art coming to the surface in Alberta. An internationally renowned artist recently made some scenic Alberta destinations his canvas. His art has already disappeared, but it's left a lasting impression. CTV's Nicole Weisberg has more.
I could barely believe it when I stepped onto the ice. Methane bubbles layered and stacked like frozen breath.
A natural phenomenon in central Alberta made even more eye-catching. For earth artist David Popa, having Abraham Lake as a canvas is a dream.
It's stunning because it's, as you know, sort of a miracle of a location. You have the clarity and the deepness of the turquoise, unbelievable fracturing, cracks, and then, of course, these methane bubbles.
Popa spent 12 days in the Nordegg area mid-January, about a year after he was first contacted by Travel Alberta about partnering.
We're trying to do something different than just imagery, which is mountains and frozen lakes.
Different and difficult. Popa is used to creating art on ice in the Baltic Sea near his home in Finland. With this piece, he says there were moments he wasn't sure he could pull it off.
It was like 0 to 3 degrees. So it was either like windy and then my chalk or charcoal would freeze on the surface, then it would warm up because of the sun.
Popa also attempting a 2-day project in a location where the wind could easily sweep away his entire first day of work. Instead,
to be able to just pull off this piece in a perfect weather window with the sunset, like this can't be happening.
Popa's second piece in the region, in Klein Creek Canyon, lasted just 1 day. He uses only natural materials. Popa returned to Abraham Lake for the third, working from sunrise to sunset at about -15 degrees to finish.
These are the kind of adventures I live for.
The golden color between the faces inspired and sourced from a Nordegg pigment artist whose studio Popa visited just a few days prior.
It's not only the place, but it's also the people.
Travel Alberta's Instagram post about Popa's pieces is its top video with over 4 million views, helping accomplish its goal of exposing the province's lesser-known destinations to more of the world. Nicole Weisberg, CTV News, Edmonton.
When we come back, a Saskatchewan artist hooked on keeping her history alive, and later a contest carried over from year to year.
Welcome back. Time to take a look at our rural forecast for tomorrow. And unlike today, we have temperatures that are going to be above the seasonal average for many locations. Look at that. 4 on the plus side for Kindersley and Outlook, -1 in Meadow Lake and Lloydminster. Yes, on the minus side, but above seasonal. And that's true of Hudson Bay as well. -3 degrees, -2 in Wynyard. Let's take a look and see what's going on as we make our way down south. And as you can see, lots of plus temperatures in the southern part of our forecast here. So look at that. 6 in Maple Creek, 5 in Assiniboia, 6 in Coronach. Yes, on the minus side in Carlisle, but at -1. And the chilliest we are on this part of the map is Kenora, and we expect a little bit of fog there as well. So that's what's going on. Let's take a look and see what's going on in Ituna. Yesterday, we told you about the big Hog Wild event coming up. That's the big curling event. And as well, don't forget, I believe it's on April 25th. It is either the 25th or the 25th, but it is the annual steak night in support of the fire brigade there. So check that out. Lots of things going on in Ituna. And as well, we can tell you that tomorrow it's going to be mainly cloudy with 2 degrees for a daytime high. So a pretty pleasant day and not particularly windy. Not bad at all. And Ituna is one of the places where internet plans of up to 1 gig are available from Sasktel.
Greetings, everyone. Margaret Harrison is one of the few remaining Métis who continue to make hooked rag rugs. Growing up in the Katepa Lake Road Allowance community, Harrison recalls her mother and grandmother making the rugs, with one now being made at the Royal Saskatchewan Museum. CTV's Regina Declue brings us the story.
A Métis artist is keeping her people's history alive through hand-woven rugs.
Mother did this in the valley years and years ago when she did trading, and she would go and do butchering and stuff for the farmers.
At the butchering, she would receive wool to turn into rugs.
She made her rugs at night when everybody was in bed by the fire and the cola lamp, on the table.
Margaret has preserved her mother's trade to this day.
Well, I always told her that I would carry this on as long as I could, and I think she would be delighted.
She uses the same shank her mother started with.
Mind you, she started with a nail that my dad made for her, and he filed it down and put a piece of wood on the end of it, and that was what she used.
Her designs come from the Capel Valley where she grew up, brought to life through rug hooking.
And we're doing the border in that form, which is thrifty material like T-shirts, sweaters, and whatever wool fabrics we can find as we thrift. And we're thrifters, we're recyclers.
She's now working on a large project on site at the Royal Saskatchewan Museum, hoping to bring community members together through workshops.
We're partners in this world, and we need to recognize one another more and enjoy one another's cultures. And I think sometimes we forget that.
Saskatchewan's Culture Minister Alana Ross also contributed to the large-scale rug, which will be on permanent display at the museum.
What an honor. It really is, and I'm so unskilled at anything like that, and to be able to participate, I'm just thrilled.
Weaving the past into the present to ensure cultural tradition lives on for generations to come. For Indigenous Circle, I'm Frugina Declute.
If you have a story you would like to see in this segment, here's how to reach us. You can contact me by email, and you can also watch past episodes and segments of Indigenous Circle on our CTV Regina and CTV Saskatoon websites.
Indigenous Circle, brought to you in part by Saskatchewan Indigenous Enterprise Foundation, growing the First Nation entrepreneurial spirit.
Turning to local gas prices now, the average price in Saskatoon, just under $1.49 a litre. The lowest price in town, $1.39.9. On Saskatchewan markets, Cameco jumped $5.36 today, and Nutrien finished the day at $103.40. Coming up, the Snow Pavilion piquing interest for hundreds of visitors. Then a non-traditional way of showing your spouse support.
Select Hair Services brought to you by Sage, the Beauty Bar.
Get comfortable and settle in with these top shows all right here tonight on CTV. Well, visitors to the shores of Clear Lake in southwestern Manitoba can still enjoy a stunning snow pavilion even as the spring-like temperatures slowly set in. The snow fort was built over a 2-week period in December, and it's still holding on. It sits inside Manitoba's Riding Mountain National Park. It started out at 16 feet tall and 16 feet wide, but Mother Nature has taken its toll with the warmer temperatures as of late. It features ice walls that were actually harvested from Clear Lake itself.
And the ice looks clear. I know we ran another story about the ice house around Flin Flon, and they were saying, okay, yeah, the ice is clear and it's great.
It's literally an art. Pretty cool. Well, an annual tradition in the UK returned over the weekend. This is the wife carrying race. The rules are pretty simple. One partner carries the other as long as they weigh more than 50 kilos or 110 pounds. The team that makes it up and down the hill first, they win. And what is that grand prize? Well, a barrel of ale.
Hear, hear.
The race is said to be inspired by a tradition in Finland. Looks like they've done it before.
It looks that way.
Take it
looks
very
like some people,
seriously.
yeah, exactly. Some people are fierce competitors.
That guy didn't practice.
Okay, well, no, he sure didn't.
Good thing they're wearing helmets.
Okay, just moving on. Benny Hill used to have something like that on his show. So it was Granny Racing. That was always good. Look it up, Google it, I'm sure.
We'll Google.
Yeah. Okay, I haven't told no weather.
Well, it's going to be mild, right?
Yeah, it's going to be mild. It is. Tomorrow's going to be a bit of a melty day.
Thanks for watching.